G'day guys, and welcome to another edition of the London session market update video. Just quickly, I hope you all had a good trading day yesterday. Just looking at things from the analysis for the most part yesterday, the analysis played out quite well. Personally for me, I had something come up, so I did not trade. So nonetheless, good to see the analysis playing out. Hopefully some of you took advantage of the analysis from yesterday's London session. However, without further ado, I will do the analysis moving forward to today's London session. Likely also do an NY update, guys, later this evening my time. So moving forward into the trading day. All right. So as always, let's start with looking first at GJ, and again we're starting the weekly. Obviously, it's made a big news. There's been a big move, today off the back of some news which has been released from the Bank of Japan. So bit of weakness in the yen yet again, and GJ has basically retested the most recent highs. Last time we're at these sort of levels was again 2015, August 2015, so a long way off. Okay, so looking at the weekly, we're forming a very strong bullish candle. We've got a high, low, high, high to the previous, like I did mention yesterday. Previous weekly candle way that close suggests to me it's grab liquidity from the downside. Going to break above the high of the previous candle, likely going to continue to the upside, which is what we've done now. So now we are at a resistance, obviously, from start of this month and last month. Now, when I see a candle forming the way the current weekly candle is, this suggests to me that any pullback is likely in a minor time frames to be met by support before we head back up to potentially retest the high, and if we have the volume momentum, create a higher high into, once again, price discovery. Now, so based off the weekly, we are forming a strong bullish candle. Onto the daily. Once again, structure-wise, it's bullish at a resistance though. We're at a very strong level of resistance just now. Excuse me, guys. But again, seeing the way the current daily candle is forming, there could be a pullback. Doesn't mean I'm just going to sell it in anticipation and will pull back. What I may do is wait for a pullback for support to form on the minor time frames to potentially look for another buy to retest the current daily candle's high. Would be options for getting involved on a sell on a counter trade. However, we'll wait and see what we got once we come down to the minor time frames, once we get down to the 4 hour and M30. So we're technically bullish on the daily. Once again, candles forming for high, 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 low to the previous. Still suggests further momentum to the upside. The only issue is we're at a very significant level of resistance. As we can see, it's also evident on the 4 hour time frame. That time frame itself is technically bullish. Now, what I'm going to do is mark in this resistance. Probably going to do something like that, change it to gray to resemble a strong 4 hour level. As for most recent support, obviously this level here. For levels above, I don't have the data to go back that far. So all I can do is really target the psychological round numbers, the 50s, 20s, 50s, 80s, and the whole numbers. Or you may choose to target the quarters, 250, 50, and 750, and the whole number. But as far as otherwise, I don't really have any data to go off as to where we could continue if we are to continue to the upside. So we are bullish in a 4 hour. That's the range in a 4 hour. All right, so the M30, obviously it's technically bullish. It's bullish across the board. So for me, it's at a resistance. I would prefer to buy GJ. However, there could be options provided to make a counter trend sell. The most present, I suppose, option would be pretty much a sell very soon. What we've done, form a support at resistance. If we are to continue bullish, this should just be creating a high-low scenario before we pull up and create a high-high. However, seeing we're at that 4 level, we begin to reject, start to pop below support. We did close a bullish candle, doji candle, albeit it is bullish, although it's a doji candle. If we begin to break the support, pop below it, tap back into it and reject, pull away, that could be an early option to sell it. In all honesty, when I see it extended as is, what I prefer to do is wait for it to actually create a leg down, pull back, create a lower high, or even an equal high, rejecting this zone yet again, then form a bit of support, and then look for the second impulse to the downside. I feel it's a more probable entry at that point, especially seeing its counter trend. So that could be an option to look for the sells from higher up. So sells below really these highs, in my opinion, are valid as long as I would, again, prefer to let it create a little move down, pull back, form a lower high. Then you could look for the potential option to sell it once you get that resistance forming. And maybe if you have a minor support forming as we have here and it begins to close and pop below it, there could be options to take it to the downside. Now, as far as the bias, guys, you're looking back to the left-hand side, the most recent price action, and you're asking yourself, have we formed any support within it? On the M30, no. M15, we can see a few little areas. What I would suggest really, guys, is be patient with it. Let it pull back. Again, could be making that first leg down. And then we're looking for it to give us our signals in price action to suggest we form support, pull back in the current daily candle, form support in minor time frame, that being the M30, to look for our potential buy to take it back up towards the current daily candle's high. And if we do have the volume momentum, create a high up into that 190, 130 above that level, create a local all-time high, I suppose, in more time. Last time I've been there since is back in 2015, so first time, long time, that type of scenario. As far as where we could pull back to, I mean, it's a fair way off, but potentially could pull back to the previous resistance. The price is broken out, 190, 160 roughly. Doesn't necessarily have to pull the way back, but I just be looking for pullbacks, looking for signals in price action to potentially look for my buys from a bit lower down on GJ. That's about it for London session with GJ. Now moving on to, let's have a look at gold. So the analysis from yesterday on gold is pretty much correct as well. Played out a little late though as far as the buy option. Now let me remove these drawings and let's reanalyze. So looking at, again, once again, start the weekly. And again, previous weekly, strong bearish, current candle, lower high, lower low. Still suggests to me potential room to downside, tap into this resistance here to the left though. That could be a reason as to why we're bouncing off it. Let's see what we've got as we go down in time frames. Daily, well, that candle closed back bullish, long wick to the downside. Current candle really has not much of a need to pull back all that far into that previous daily candle, because that candle is the one that's pulled back, leaving a long wick to the downside, suggesting to me that it's grabbed liquidity within the market this previous level. Therefore, current candle should just really create a bit of a low wick. Potentially, normally you would see, well, usually, or just from what I've seen, my opinion, when you see candle closing such as the previous daily did, often you'll see the new candle will pull back to around the open of that previous daily candle, form a minor support, grab some more liquidity before it heads back up and breaks the high of that previous daily candle. We're starting to pull back a little bit further into that previous daily candle. See what we've got once we get out of the minor time frames. May have just broken a minor support and heading down further. What I'd be doing is marking the high of the previous day's candle, seeing what we've got above that level. So we're technically bullish on the daily. Weekly was strong bearish. The 4-hour structure is still technically bearish by the looks of it. Yes, it is still technically bearish on the 4-hour. I'm marking the most recent resistance formed on the previous candle contracts. That's a previous daily candle high. I'm going to mark in the most recent support. And my 4-hour levels, I'm not going to bother with anything above or below for the time being. I may draw in the one above in case. All right, so let's see what got the M30. It looks like we may have broken a support. We have, but it's just been consolidating. So the 30-minute time frame to me looks to be technically bullish. We flipped the structure once we closed above this swing point here, and we've not created a high, nor have we created a low low. So anything between is technically bullish. Therefore, the bias is now to the upside on gold. We've got the daily, the M30, it's actually neutral. Sorry, we've got the daily and the M30 as bullish, the 4-hour and the weekly as bearish. However, it's making a bit of an impulse now to the downside. So this is all right, coming from rejecting this resistance, the 4-hour resistance. What I'd be looking for today on gold is let it create the move down. Look for support to form. Now, obviously, anywhere above 21,46155 is technically going to be bullish. So look for price to pull back, form a support. Look for your calcium price action. So look for your buys from lower down. Where could price potentially pull back to? I may draw in this as a minor level. That could be another level price could potentially pull back to form a support at before we head back up. So I'd be looking at around that 2,153.50 sort of level as a potential buy zone as well. So for me, I'd be looking for either support to form back at these lows for a buy above, or I'd be looking for support to form at around really anywhere above that or around that 21.53.50. Or also potential buys above it is a previous level of resistance that price is about to retest. Let's see if it holds as support to look for your potential buys. Now, as for the sells, now seeing we made a clean move down, starting to cut through this choppiness, this mess to the left. What I want to see is a few options. Either we're going to look for a pullback, retest that for our resistance, reject yet again, look for a similar sort of catalyst, minus support to form as price begins to pop below to minus support, and you can look for your potential sells. That'd be option A for me as far as the sells on gold. Now, option B, I would be looking for price to tap into this level at around that 2053.50, maybe pull back for a lower high, and start to pop below it, start to close below at 2052.80. Pretty clean traffic to the left beyond that point there. And at that point, I would look to also sell it because it's starting to create some lower high, lower lows, creating a bit of structure within the actual microstructure within the actual structure itself, if that makes sense. That would give me more confidence to look for any potential sells against the actual M30 structure itself. Now, that's probably it for as far as London on gold. I can reassess and see what we got once we come towards NY. If I do an NY update video, so keep an eye out for that. I likely will do today. EU, just looking at briefly before, looks a mess in my opinion. It really does. Into approaching 4-hour support. If you're not in a trade just now, it's late to the party. Could have possibly been in a trade, breaking this support. Let's look. I'm not gonna draw on this. I think the zones are still relevant. That's why I'm not gonna bother redrawing them. M30 structure is gonna flip back above this point here. Doesn't necessarily mean I want to buy it. Reason being is because you're running into resistance here to the left. If I was to buy it on GE today, I want it to pop up, create a clean move to start to cut through some of this mess. You don't always need to be in on the first impulse, guys. Let it create a wave to the upside, pull back, form a bit of support, and it's a much more high probability entry out point there. I mean, you need to wait till London's to NY session if it is to be the case where you could potentially look for buys. Otherwise, I will not be chasing a sell just now because you're chasing it into 4-hour support. What I'd rather do is let it create the move. It may even tap down to 126.90. That's fine if it does. Let it pull back, form a lower high, look for your signals in price action again. Your bearish engulfing candles, your minus support, and look for your entries as price begins to break or close below minus support. Take it further to the downside. Last but not least, let's have a look at NAS. Excuse me. So once again, starting at the weekly, still based off the previous strong bearish current candle, pull back quite significantly into the previous weekly candle. Still not really creating much of a lower wick. Still based off the previous weekly candle. At this stage, we've yet to create a higher high. We're starting to pull back, so I would call it strong bearish. Looking at the daily structure itself is still technically bullish. Previous daily close bullish, but with a long wick to the upside. Would have perhaps grabbed a little liquidity from the upside. And if we begin to pop below that previous daily candles low, create a low wick in a weekly, eventually we could head down even further. But as far as structure wise, we're bullish. Not really much given away when you're looking at the high time frame here on NAS. It's very choppy. Let's just mark in the current daily candles low. Would be potential options if we form minus support that level below the current daily candles low. Formed of support in a 4-hour on the previous candle. Now the 4-hour structure itself appears to be still technically bullish as well. So bullish on daily, bearish on a weekly, bullish on the 4-hour. So far the bias is to the upside. Now let me draw in support and resistance. See if this is a bullish candle M30 to confirm support. We've also just formed support at this point here. Now back onto the M30. All right, so that zone remains because it is an M30 candle, bullish candle. So remember, bullish candles confirm support, not the bearish candles. All right, as far as this support, leave that as well. It's still relevant and at that level. All right, so now on NAS, I'd probably be dragging this down a bit further because we've got another minor support just below the 4-hour level. So what I'd be saying on NAS is today, M30 structure is still bullish as well. So the bias is actually not technically flip bearish. The bias is neutral. technically neutral. It's technically flip bearish because we're close below this point here. Doesn't mean I'd want to sell it because you're selling into support. So first of all, for the sellers, guys, what I'd be looking at is either one of two things: a pullback, retest this 18.054 sort of level, look for rejection, could just grab a little bit more liquidity, expect the high of the previous daily candle, and then look for your sell options to take it back down towards the current daily candle's low. Now, so that'd be sells from really anywhere below the highs, well, within the gray zone. What I would suggest is the high it pulls into this gray zone, let it form a bit of micro trend within it. So create a high, a low, lower high, lower low, and that type of scenario. And then you can potentially start looking for your trades if you are to trade it higher up, or if nothing else, wait for it to pull back, start to close below that gray zone yet again, that back in rejection. And that could be your signal to start looking for your sell option from higher up. So it sells from below. Now, as far as further sell options, seeing we have now flipped the M30 structure bearish. So the M30 is officially in a downtrend, in the way I see it anyway. So now we're just consolidating for time. Once the volume kicks in, start to pop below the support here to the left. So below 1790, basically. Close below it with a bit of volume. You want to see a nice strong closure, tap back in rejection, then I would definitely look to sell it down towards that 17,820 level. So for me, it sells below support here at 1790. It also makes sense. Now, as far as the buy options, guys, we'll get some buy options as well, but again, I don't really trust the volume London session for NAS. What I would rather see it do is maybe consolidate a bit. I'm closer to MY, maybe even pop down this gray zone, and then start to form again a little bit of structure, low, high, high, low, high, high, start to pop above this resistance, and that could be your catalyst to sell it. So you could almost do this, put in a minor level just here, and if you get a nice strong closure above it at a time of volume, could be your first potential buy option on NAS. So I just marked that in, but I'd be very cautious with it. I would prefer to wait for it to occur if it does so, closer to NY open around pre-NY. Otherwise, obviously, if it just melts and you can't get in them sell, wait for it to give you a signal in price action to buy from lower down. And that's about it, guys. Yeah, so that's a wrap, guys. I should be back for NY update today. Guys have any comments, please feel free to leave those down below. Give the video a like. Once again, guys, I appreciate the support. Keep an eye out and things to come. There'll be a lot more to be dropped soon on YouTube and IG, and the lives will start very soon. Alrighty, guys. Cheers. Catch you later. Bye for now.